Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're doing another video in the series of structured practice. This is taking a very simple concept. In this case, we're doing minor chords, and we're going to bring it through all 12 keys. And I have a whole playlist starting with major chords and working our way through more complex chords, going through all 12 keys, because that's one of the key ingredients in being a really good piano player, is not just sticking in one key, but being able to be competent in all 12. Each key is going to look a little different, but today we're talking about minor chords. So we learned about major chords in our last video, and we're going to start with the assumption that you do know your major chords, but I'm going to show you two ways to think about minor chords. So the first way is to do it as a variation off of a major chord. So if we know our C major chord, for instance, we know how we got there, we know the notes in a C major chord. We can just move one note to make it a minor chord. So if we're in this root position, we can just take the third of the chord, which is our E, 1, 3, and 5. So we think of the E as the third of the chord, or the middle note, move it down a half step, which is to the left, right? So to the left on the piano is down, to the right is up the scale. So we move it to the left or down just a half step, and we get a whole different sound, which is a minor sound. So we had a happy chord with a major. Minor chords sound very dark, very different, right? All of a sudden, the whole mood changes when you turn it into a minor chord. And the left hand doesn't really have to change. So the left hand is actually the same whether it's major or minor, because the third is what makes it major or minor, right? And you're not doing the third with the left hand, you're just doing the root and the fifth. So the left hand can just carry on just as it would have with the major chord. But the right hand, we have that one note difference from E to E flat in this case for the C minor chord. Okay, so another way to think about this chord, if let's say you're struggling to even remember the major chord, if you just want to get to the minor chord, that's fine. We can think about it as a three-step process. So you start with a root, you count up 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, to get your second note, and then you count up 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get your third note in the minor chord. And once you do that, you're good to go. It just had some balloons fly up. I'm not sure if it caught that. But anyway, once you get that minor sound, you know you got it right. Okay, so that's 2 ways to think about it. You can do it as a variation off the major chord by moving the middle note down a half step, or you can count up 3 and then 4. Remember, major chords were 4, 3, and minor chords are 3, 4 as far as counting. Okay, let's go to the left on the circle of fifths. We're going to go to the F minor chord, okay? So let's go start with the F major chord. We assume we know this one, okay? And then we're going to take the middle note and move it down half step. It's as simple as that. And all of a sudden the whole mood changes, right? We can double check ourselves to make sure it's F, and then count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's our F minor chord. Super simple. All right, let's go to another one, B flat. B flat is right here. We're going to count up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that has that same quality, right? It sounds very dark. It doesn't sound as happy as the major chords. So we know we're onto something. Okay, E flat. Let's go to the next one. We're going to start with the E flat major chord this time. Okay? And then what is the variation we're going to do? We're just going to move the middle note down a half step to the left. And all of a sudden, we get a minor sound. So there's your E flat minor. Let's keep going. I'm going to go through all 12. A flat. This time we're going to count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our A flat minor. And it doesn't even matter which octave you do it in. I'm kind of staying, this would be middle C on my keyboard, so I'm kind of staying toward the bottom, maybe third of the piano. I'm not like way up here on the right, but I'm kind of in the lower range. Lower to mid range is where I like to keep a lot of my chords, especially as I'm just starting to learn them and practicing them. How about D flat minor, okay? So we're gonna go let's start with the major chord. We assume that we know this. Hopefully you've practiced all of your major chords and can just identify them really quickly. Move the middle note down a half step. Boom. Sounds about right. Very good. So this is your D flat minor chord. How about G flat or F sharp? Start with the major. We know this one. We practiced it a lot already, hopefully. Take that middle note. Just move it down. G flat minor. Very good. Let's keep going to a B chord. Why don't we count this one? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to get our second note. 1, 2, 3, 4 to get our third note of a minor chord. And it sounds right. Eventually your ear is going to start to hear the difference between these major and minor chords, Or if it sounds completely different than major or minor, maybe something's gone wrong. So just recheck your process, and once it sounds like that minor chord, you know you've got it. How about an E? Let's make an E minor chord. Well, here's an E major chord, and all we need to do is move one note. So we're gonna take this G sharp, slide it down to a G, and it becomes minor. There's our E minor chord. How about A? Let's assume we know the major chord, which is, this is an A major. Or as you notice over here, it doesn't have to say major, it just says A, and we assume it's major. We slide this C sharp down to a C, and it becomes A minor. Very good. Let's build this one from the ground up for the D chord. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's our D minor. Very good. How about a G chord? Let's go to start with a G note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 and then 4. And there's our G minor chord. Awesome. Okay, we're going to do a little test here at the end of each of these. I'm going to go through all 12 of them. I'm going to go around the circle of fifths and see if you can keep up. Hopefully you've gone through this a few times. Maybe you've stopped and practiced all these. And then we're going to do 2 beats per chord. So we're at 80 BPM. All right, we're going to go to the left. We're going to start with C minor. 2, 3, go. F minor. B flat minor. E flat minor, A flat minor, D flat minor, G flat minor, B minor, E minor, A minor, D minor, G minor, and back to C minor. And that's all 12 of your minor chords. Now, of course, you can stop this video anywhere along the way, or you can slow the metronome down at first to see if you can take more time to think about the next chord that's coming up. But going through all 12 minor chords is super important. All 12 major chords. Honestly, if you can learn all 12 major and minor chords, you can play so many songs just with those 2 types of chords. Now, of course, you want to expand your vocabulary as you go. But if you could just start with those 24 chords, you can play thousands of songs. And you know, it'll be a great starting point. Okay, I also have a PDF that you can download for free in the link below. This basically kind of goes over what we just did, explaining major and minor chords. So if you'd like to check that out, go for it. If you'd like to get to the next video in this series, this is the next video that you need to learn. Happy practicing. We'll see you in the next video.